I'm Davy. I'm awesome. And welcome to Davy's Awesome Movies, where I review the styles of movies that I love, the alternative, B-rated, cult-style flicks. And this week we're doing the fourth installment to the Kickboxer series. This one was released in 1994, and it was written and directed by Albert Peen, who also directed the second one. And also written by David Yorkin, and produced by Jessica G. Budden. Made by Kings Road Entertainment and Wortherly Productions. Distributed by Live Entertainment and Moonstone Entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, Kickboxer 4, The Aggressor. The movie opens with David Sloan, played by Shasta Mitchell, which would be the last time he would play David Sloan, writing to his wife Vicky from prison. He's in prison because of Tong Po.
The same man that had me framed and sent to prison.
Well, at least they quickly explain why he's in prison, although it's going to be a little bit later before they explain what it was that Tong Po did to get him into prison. Instead of telling us right away, they decide to recap the first two movies. Doesn't say anything about the third movie, it just goes into how he and Vicky started a kickboxing school, had students, were being successful, until of course he was framed by Tong Po and put in prison. But why he's writing to Vicky is because he fears that Tong Po is now after her.
You must hide and remain safe until my release.
She could go hide in Brazil. I mean, you got connections there. But I guess we're just going to keep ignoring that sequel. Then we see Vicky Sloan.
Hello, Mrs. Sloan.
And Tong Po. In Kickboxer 1 and 2, he was played by Michelle Kizzy. But Michelle Kizzy did not return for this one. So this one, that bad makeup to make him look like Tong Po is put on Camille Criffa. I probably didn't say his name right. In prison, where apparently they let all the inmates dress however they want, David Sloan gets a letter from Tong Po, letting David know that Tong Po has his wife. And sadly, David could do nothing about it. Now we fast forward a couple years and David Sloan is meeting with an agent from the DEA. And it's here we get a kind of explanation of how he was framed. Apparently David, on behalf of the DEA, went to Mexico to bring in a drug runner, and the situation turned violent and David ended up having to kill the guy. There's so much wrong with that. Number one, if he was bringing a gun runner to justice and it got violent and he had to kill him, pretty sure that would be textbook self-defense. Second, why would they go grab an instructor of a kickboxing school to go bring in a drug runner? They would probably just use their own people to do that. You know, other agents? But hey, they had to come up with some ridiculous explanation. But now it has been 2 years since Tong Po has kidnapped Vicky, and the DEA once again wants David's help.
In the last 5 years, Tong Po has become the most powerful drug lord in Mexico.
Sounds likely.
Every day, the dead, Tong Po invites all the top fighters from around the world.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure a Taiwanese kickboxer, who is now a big drug cartel in Mexico, would really want to put a tournament on his own property, because if there's one thing that drug cartels love, it's attention. Apparently the winner of this tournament that Tong Po held on every Day of the Dead, the winner gets to take on Tong Po, and if they can beat him, they get $1 million. And of course they want David to infiltrate this tournament and compete in it. But that's really stupid. Wouldn't Tong Po recognize him?
It's been a lot of hard years since Tong Po's seen me.
Yeah, but you look the same. And he hates you with a burning passion. He hates you so much that not only did he kill your brothers, but in the second movie, he led this big conspiracy where they helped send Zian to train you, killed your best student just to goad you into fighting him. And now, apparently, since then, he's become a drug cartel and used that power just to frame somebody in the United States and have them put into prison so he could kidnap their wife. I'm pretty sure he's going to remember what you look like. So they let David out of prison. He's got to go get noticed. And to get noticed and get invited to this tournament, he goes to an underground street fight. Which is funny that he's not even going to attempt to put a disguise on. Just a pair of shades. I mean, seriously, nothing? No makeup whatsoever? Not even an outfit that would distract him, like, you know, a crazy shirt or a nice hat? Something where they wouldn't recognize you, they'd be too busy looking at the hat going, ooh, that's nice. Of course, this does get David an invitation to Mexico to potentially qualify for the tournament. David is going to go there under the name Jack, which is fitting because that's the odds of this plan working. Then, David goes to a bar where some guys are beating up a girl named Megan. Megan is played by professional martial artist Michelle Kransnow, which maybe that's why Michelle Kizzy didn't come back. He didn't want two people named Michelle in the cast. So of course, David seeing this, he has to be the hero. But this guy makes a comeback. Okay, that was funny. Of course, this brawl goes very typically of this type of movie, where apparently everybody in the bar has to get in there and attack him, even though in real life most people would not get involved. They would just sit back and kind of laugh at the couple of guys who got beat up. But Megan, the girl he saved, doesn't really appreciate the help.
You know, a simple thank you would do.
Yeah, okay.
And of course,
You're going to Mexico for that competition, aren't you?
she's going to the tournament as well. I mean, even though that's incredibly coincidental, why wouldn't she? We gotta put the cliches in here. So now David, as Jack, arrives at Tong Po's.
Mr. Jones, we've been expecting you. I'm Darcy.
Jack Jones? Put a lot of thought into that name, didn't you? David gets shown to the qualifier by Darcy. Darcy is...
I'm in charge of hospitality.
yeah. But it's not what you think. She doesn't have to sleep with anybody. She does, but she doesn't have to. When David gets to the qualifying circle, we see a fighter who is a little too aggressive.
Hey! Don't you think that's enough?
So he smashes the guy's head one more time.
That is enough!
See, kids, it's all about compromise. Now, guess who David's qualifying fight is against?
Oh, lovely.
Because why wouldn't it be? Of course, David doesn't want to fight her, but she insists. Sleep it off.
This little mouse out of here.
That line was thrown there because Mouse was actually Michelle Kransnow's fighting nickname. Michelle Mouse Kransnow. I'm guessing they gave her that name because she really likes cheese. David gets to his room, then he sneaks out. But he's being followed. Turns out the guy following him is the little brother of one of David's old employees. Somebody that was a sensei at his kickboxing dojo.
You're Andrew Smith's punk kid, brother?
Convenient. Andrew's little brother is Lando. Great name. And he promises that he will not tell anybody that he is David Sloan.
You need anything, Sensei, just ask.
Yeah, he could really go for being in a better movie. At the celebration they're having before the tournament, Lando raises a good question.
When Tong Po recognize you?
Yes, he most certainly would. But David's got a plan to get around that. He's going to go find his wife right away and just sneak out that night. Good plan.
I'm going up to my room.
Tong Po has an announcement.
The fighter who was eliminated has requested a second chance to compete.
It's Megan. But Megan is unruly. But Lando, to the rescue! It's not the first time we've ever said that. It's the first time we said it in such a bad movie, though.
It's too pretty a face to be punched out.
So now, Tong Po wants them both taken out. But apparently Tong Po's henchmen with their useless guns are no match for Lando and a short girl. So Tong Po has a change of heart.
Enjoy the rest of the party.
She's in. Lando gets to his room and gets a visitor.
Aren't you gonna invite me in?
Sure.
She then tries to get a little frisky.
I can't do this now.
Yes, he's got clicheing to do.
I'm sorry.
Women get angry when they're horny. That evening, David is sneaking around the grounds and success! He finds his wife. So now he can free her and they can both get out of there. But just as he's about to free her...
Security break in section 4.
So now he needs to book it. Then we see Tong Po praying over his dead wife.
I shall not rest until you are avenged.
I'm sure they'll fill us in later. Since they can't find out who the intruder was, we go to the next morning and the beginning of the tournament. And all the tournament fights are incredibly formulaic. Basically, if you've seen Bloodsport or really any movie that is in any way, shape, or form based on a martial arts tournament, you can very quickly figure out exactly who's going to win each fight. Even the fights that are really just between extras in the movie. Point in case... they have the big sumo type guy in the tournament. And... the capoeira fighter. The only one they left out was the fighter that moves around like a snake or a monkey or something like that. Now, Megan's turn. But immediately after she wins, somebody else wants a shot at her. You were really knocked out by one punch from a girl who had to reach that high up to hit you? How the hell did you qualify in the first place? While David is fighting, Lando goes over to Darcy and starts talking to her to distract Tong Po from David so he won't recognize him. Although the flaw in this scene is where that would explain it, he didn't do this until Tong Po had already started watching the beginning of the fight, so there's no way he would not have recognized David Sloan. After the tournament, David tells Lando that he needs to figure out a way to get into the room that Vicky is being held in. Lando has an idea. Yes, that is his plan. Make some sweet, sweet love to Vicky. Sounds like a plan that would be developed by Leon Phelps, yes. Then after,
She's my friend.
he convinces Darcy to help them by promising that he will get her back to the States and away from Tong Po. But that night, they take Lando to Po.
Once more, Mr. DEA agent.
Yes, that is who Lando is. He is a DEA agent. And because he's not giving in to their torture, they bring in Darcy. So not only does he admit to them that he's DEA, but
Sloan.
now you recognize him? But even though Lando told them,
It's your fault she's dead, Lando.
the next day at the tournament, Tong Po announces that all fights are now to the death. So if they're not willing to go that far, they can leave now. Okay, you are seriously about to get a 1-star review on that place. Lando and David are brought out, and Tong Po explains to the tournament people that the tournament every year is a tribute to Tong Po's dead wife, Cyan, who died in a fire that was caused by the DEA tear gassing his place. His place that the DEA found thanks to David Sloan, which is why it's his fault that his wife is dead.
Sure.
Yeah, this does seem a little bit too elaborate.
For $500,000 bonus, who will challenge?
After David runs through everybody,
You! Fight or die!
didn't work out too well for her last time.
You don't have the guts to fight him yourself.
Oh, the mouse is feeling catty.
There is no money. You saw what he did to the others.
Well, she gets it. So now all the fighters, except for the head smasher in purple, take the fight to Tong Po's men and Tong Po himself. And once again, his men are useless against these fighters because all they have are their stupid, worthless guns. The only fighter helping is the guy in purple, who they never actually gave a name to. But they take care of him. When David catches up to Po, he convinces Po to let Vicky go and fight him one-on-one. Even though this really did not work out for Po in the past. So David and Tong Po fight on a table full of dishes. Dishes that they keep breaking. Po, those dishes look expensive. Get on the ground! But pretty much from the start, David's winning.
Hold it, or she's dead.
So while Tong Po escapes, David grabs a steak knife. Yeah, but no. No way a steak knife, no matter how hard it's thrown, is going to be strong enough to pierce through the middle of a skull. So now everyone is safe. But Tong Po has escaped, leaving it open for another sequel. Which there would be. Sort of. But it would have nothing to do with Tong Po. And extremely little to do with David Sloan. So there you have it. That's Kickboxer 4, The Aggressor. I don't have much to say about this movie. I wasn't able to uncover exactly what the budget was for this movie, but it doesn't look like it was much. All I can say is it definitely looks like it had less of a budget than any of the other movies. And there's also no box office to speak of, as it was a direct-to-video. Which, when I was a kid, was why I decided to check it out. I was at the video store, I saw Kickboxer 4, and I was like, hey, I liked all the other Kickboxer movies. I'll pick this one up. My brother and I were very disappointed that night. As much as I don't really go for what the critics say, I can't help but agree with the critics in this. They didn't like it. A lot of them said the storyline was extremely hokey, which it was. The biggest criticism was there was absolutely nothing original about the movie. Which there wasn't. Like I said, the movie is so formulaic that you can pretty much predict everything that was going to happen around the time it happened. Which, keep in mind, when I first saw it, I was only like 11 or 12 years old, and I was predicting everything that was happening in the movie, because it was so thrown together, so cliche, so formulaic. This one of the Kickboxer movies was the first one I really say I don't like. Wasn't the last one, though. Only a couple of critics said that they liked it better than the third one because it felt more like a sequel, which I will give them that. It does feel more like a sequel than the third one did, but I wouldn't go as far as to say it was better than the third one. The third one just seemed like it was its own movie, just really kind of went into a different direction than the other ones. This one, though, to me, it really just had a feel of like some movie executives went up to Albert Peen and said, hey, we think we can make a couple bucks on yet another Kickboxer sequel. Do you think before the weekend's up you can come up with a script? And he was like, yeah, sure, why not? Because again, everything in this movie was so cliche, and it was also just very lackluster. None of the fights were great in this. The story was terrible. It really was just a very pointless and worthless sequel. And it stayed my least favorite of all the Kickboxer movies until years later when I saw Kickboxer 5, The Redemption. Now some of you may be like, wait a second though, that came out a year later. I didn't see it a year later. I actually found out about it probably 3 or 4 years later. Rented it, watched it, and went, oh, okay, I guess the fourth is out of last place. However, the one redeeming factor I can give the fourth one is it does feel like it ties into the Kickboxer franchise. So on that note, I do recommend if you like the other Kickboxer movies, then yes, to complete your experience, you should definitely check out number 4. But if you are good with just seeing 1 or 2, then you can skip it. So there you have it. That's my movie review this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications when I post new videos, and leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of Kickboxer 4, The Aggressor. Tell me which of the Kickboxer movies was your favorite. Tell me which one of them was your least favorite. Love you guys.